If you could tell educators one thing, what would it be?
For educational professionals, something I would say be very similar to the parents, because if you think about it, you know, if your child's going to school, they're with the school system almost, if not more, than they are at home. So really the same thing applies in the sense of, you know, don't assume that you have no kids in your classroom that have hearing loss. If you're not aware of any of them, then they're most likely able to adapt to where it doesn't come across as an issue, because you could have someone with a moderate hearing loss and it's enough to make them struggle in class. So in that situation, I would say the same thing as look for signs of behavioral signs. Maybe if the kid is leaning in a lot to listen, or maybe they have to ask you to repeat things a lot, or you see they get frustrated very easily during lessons, and things like this can be signs. And if the student isn't very open to talk about it, then I would talk to the parents and ask. And that's really the best thing, is just to ask. I just think if you direct the question of needing assistance to the parents or the child, it's better to find out. And if they say they don't need anything, then, you know, just make sure that they know the options there. I think that's one of the biggest things. I only had one teacher do that when I was sitting in the back of the classroom, because he got to know all of us, and so he knew our last names. So once the school year started off and he memorized, we could sit anywhere. But I always got sat in the back because I didn't really have a lot of friends, and that's when my grades completely plummeted. And it was in a math class, and the teacher was in the front, always turned at the board, so I never knew what he was saying. Well, then once he noticed, he told my mom, and he met with me, and they just very calmly, so I wouldn't be too feeling attacked, you know, they talked to me and decided that the next week he would let everyone know that he was told by the school he had to sit us all alphabetically again. And at the time, my maiden name I started with an A, so perfect. I was the very first student that sat right in the front. No one knew, so no one could, you know, make fun of me, or I wasn't attacked because of the rule. And my grades completely went back up because I was able to be a few feet in front of him, and he started to face me and make sure he faced us once he knew about that. But he didn't know what it was. He didn't know why my grades. He had no idea it was because of my hearing until he met with my mom. So sometimes just because there's a student with hearing loss, and if they're going to a mainstream school, it doesn't mean they always tell the faculty or tell anyone in the school. So it's always good to ask and let the parent know you're noticing something, because they may not know that they can tell you or feel comfortable. Maybe they're nervous or scared, and they want help, but they don't know how to ask. So always be persistent and be patient, because maybe it takes them a while to come around, and they'll eventually be happy that, you know, you did ask them. And even though they might be embarrassed, it helps. It still helps, and that's really the main thing. These days, you know, it's hard. Everything's so different with technology, and there's so many resources. So there shouldn't be too much of a problem with getting some sort of accommodations. So always look for signs and check with the parents, and make sure that the student's comfortable, and ask them what would make them most comfortable. Check with the student too. Make sure you involve them, and that they know they have the right to say what makes them learn better or helps them better in the classroom.